Welcome to the RedIn30 podcast, where we talk about Jesus, truth, and us, all using red words.
Using red words. Black.
What's up?
What up?
Welcome.
What's happening?
Once again.
RedIn30.
RedIn30. We are here. This is the RedIn30 podcast, as you can see. And this is episode...
Dwatsach Ajin.
Say it one more time.
Dwatsach Ajin.
What is that?
Dwatsach Ajin is 21 in Russian.
Shout out
Shout out to my man Evgen.
Evgen,
Yeah.
In the building, yeah. So we're cool. We got some friends in the building, so we're excited.
Yeah.
We're really excited.
Yeah.
But RedIn30, this is the lovely Nakia.
Megan.
You finally clap. Yeah. We got Pastor Jay. We here.
Whoop, whoop.
Oh, he don't want no claps. You want gunshots.
He was ready. I'm going to give Nikhil the clap.
Gunshots. And then I'm here. I'm DM, so we're here. Oh my God. And we're rolling. We're excited to be here. RedIn30. RedIn30.com. It's a 30-day reading of the Gospels. We believe in the entire Bible. We believe that the Bible is a story about you. But we believe that the red words show you who you are in the story. Yep. The red words are the words of Jesus. So RedIn30 is a 30-day reading of the Gospels. The Gospels is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It tells it's 4 different accounts of Jesus' life here on earth and all the things he told us and things he shared and miracles and all that good stuff. And so we do RedIn30. It's 30-day devotional. It's about 3 chapters a day. But we believe that, and what's today's episode is going to be about the consistency of a thing.
Yeah.
Is what changes you. And if you can stay consistent in something, then you can start converting yourself and start changing the way that you think about it. So that's RedIn30, where we talk about Jesus, truth, and you.
Yeah.
All using
red
words. And so we're here.
Jumping in there.
Because what are we doing? We making you red.
We're making you red.
In 30.
We're making you're gonna be red in 30. If you do it right.
Yeah.
If you do it right, you'll turn into the red words. You won't just that's cool, ain't it? Yeah, like when the word made flesh, John 1, it talks about the word was made flesh and dwelt among us. And what most people don't realize is the goal. God's goal was never to have a book to say everything, but he put it in a book to show you to read you.
Yep.
Read who you are. And so
be that book.
And be that book. Be the book. Be the
Right.
book. And so I like to say that sometimes you'll be somebody's Bible. Somebody be looking at you and reading your life.
Yep.
Take it off the page.
And so, right, take off the page. And so if I believe the consistency. We explain it. I like to explain it sometimes. Maybe sometimes I don't need to because people can hear it in other episodes. But we started doing this a few years back. Just off of GP, just learning more about Jesus. Yeah. And then they kind of developed into something. And then to make somebody red in 30 days is like dope. Like if you do it consistently. Somebody messaged me the other day. That's crazy. Somebody messaged me the other day and said, I reposted the post of the reading of the day. And she was like, oh man, I gotta get back. I fell off, but I gotta get back on it. I said, wait, it's not that type of thing.
Yeah.
It's not what we're taking record of. Who can do the most in a row? I say just
you win.
Yeah, you win. Right. Yeah, like just jump on the boat. Just jump in.
Here's the thing: it never stops.
It never stops. It's consistent. It's consistent. Always going. And it is not. It's not to judge you or to make you feel more deep or make you feel like you're a better person. It's just really showing you who you are.
Right.
Yep.
And it's like we say too, like with reading, like it's not about you conquering.
Yeah, don't conquer.
That's a good point.
Yeah, well, I know that for a fact. I speak personally for myself. I read through the Gospels. You know what I'm saying? And didn't catch half the things that I should have caught.
Right.
Because I just, you just kind of, and then you want to tell somebody, hey, I read all the way through the Gospels.
Yeah.
But they change.
Sometimes you get stuck in one chapter. Like, I've gotten stuck in Matthews 5 and 6.
Oh, yeah. I'm still stuck.
Right? I've gone past those chapters.
Matthew 6. I got a class I teach. I'm stuck in like John chapter 1.
Yeah.
I just, the word made flesh, man. I'm always in there. So, But that's the key. Repeating and going over and over again to recondition. So
perfect timing
and perfect transition. I think in life we are all conditioned to something.
Yeah, true story.
Right, like from children, from grade school, church, life, whatever subject you learn, you're conditioned in it. Yep. And you hear it over and over. The scripture says faith comes by hearing. Like it's over and over again. And you become conditioned to several different things. Sometimes you even habits, good and bad, you condition them and you don't know.
Right.
Because it's been a conditioning of what you've been hearing, what you've been seeing, what you've been around, and that's why they say usually environment will make somebody, make the person. Well, it's really the consistency in that, and so we're all conditioned. You got words consistency, you got words conditioning, continue. These are hot words to kind of explain how you can develop something into something.
Right.
Right, it's a principle. It's a principle all around. Whether you do it with something good or something bad, if you be consistent with it, then you can develop it into
something.
Whatever the subject.
Yep. Yeah.
And so for me, and I think for everybody else, it makes sense to want to develop more into who you really are.
Yeah.
Right? like duh, right?
Right. Like that should be like so
the
simple.
number one.
Yeah,
it's so simple.
Yeah.
But it makes it so
First,
complicated.
understanding that you're not there yet, most likely.
Right.
Because you are conditioned for something.
Because you're conditioned for
by something else. So
something else.
Right.
And so being who you really are and then knowing where you really come from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It should be the number one thing. But in this life that we live in.
Yeah, that's crazy too, because even people, in certain cultures, they like to go back to, like cultural history to see where they come from.
Right.
It's like, you go back to your roots.
Yeah, that does nothing for me.
Yeah, but you gotta go back to like your real roots.
Right, those roots.
The roots ain't real, man.
Ain't real.
Those roots have roots.
Right.
Those roots are actually fruit.
Yeah,
They're not even
actually
really
what you
root.
call a root is really a fruit. That's good.
Right, it's like your mama
really
them
fruit.
fruit.
Or something else.
Go ahead, kid.
Yeah,
come on. And so you got to go back to the original root of where we come from. So we pick up the Bible, we see it.
Yep.
And it says when it first started talking about man, it says we were created in His image. This is the root. There's no other root.
Yep.
This is the root. We're made in the image of God, and so everything that He's made of, we're made of.
Yeah. Consistency makes me think about last episode. I forgot what we titled it, but we're talking about oneness and intercourse and what that means to know. Yeah, knowledge. So consistency is a lot like that.
It is.
I looked up the etymology before we started, and so con is with place, like with standing, and so you like together with that standing, a standing together is another way you can say it. Right, but that togetherness reminds me of that, like knowing that oneness, like when you become one with something, like you were saying earlier, the conditioning is leading you to something.
Wow. So on that definition, you can kind of say that whatever you're consistent in, you're one with.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
Ooh,
it's like those habits that you do subconsciously.
Yeah, you're actually taking on the identity of said thing. That's crazy. That's crazy because you're standing with, right? That's what it says.
Yeah, a standing together.
A standing together with.
Yeah.
Wow. So consistency. So now, what are you consistent in? And what are you inconsistent?
Standing with.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why people think that them having like a certain habit of being a certain way is like the truth because they're consistent.
They're consistent in that, right. And
so they've taken that identity.
They're taking that identity. And what you become more consistent in is a lot of times more easy. It's easier to do that same thing. Good or bad, it's easier to just to fall back in that same
it's comfortable,
same place because you develop a consistency in it.
Yeah.
I mean, working out, training and anything, the more you do it, the more easy the flow is. Your breathing becomes better. It's consistency. So you become one with whatever that thing is.
Yep.
So there's nothing wrong with the principle though.
Right.
Like the principle is it works. It's not broken. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah.
Like it has no problem. It works exactly like it's supposed to. But where we miss it at is what is our consistency? What is the affection of our consistency? You get it?
Yeah.
Like what is that's good. The affection. Like what is our consistency focused on, or looking at, or looking towards?
Joining with,
right?
Yeah.
Right, because that's going to be the thing that's going to be one with. I think we were talking right before that, it's funny. I told somebody the other day, and we was talking about getting some work done. I said, well, how often does your heart beat? And you never even take that into account. But it's even when you're not thinking about it.
Yep.
You know, how often
still is.
It still is. How often do you breathe? We don't even take into account how many breaths we take a day.
Right.
There's no one long breath that you take that's gonna last you for a day. Like,
Right.
Can't do it.
I ain't gotta breathe no more today. Or there's not one heartbeat that goes boom, and then you're set for the day.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a set of consistent. Yeah. And before you know it, like this is what life
Yes.
consists of. And so,
Come on.
and when that stops, that's when life stops.
Yeah. Yep.
Your breathing stops, your heartbeat stops. That's a wrap for you.
Yep.
You know, and so in life, with everything else that we're doing, whatever we're not consistent with can't live.
Right. I think that's Mother Nature, the earth spinning consistency.
Yeah, without
Things
you.
we do without us.
Without you, and that makes a lot of sense now, because so with my heart, with my physical heart, right, or my physical breathing, what's my place to play, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's involuntary, if it does what it's supposed to do, you know, under normal circumstances, what is my part to play? Well, number one, I can't clog my arteries. You know what I'm saying? Because I start messing up the flow. I can't do things to where it inhibits my breathing. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm messing up the principle that's already in action. And if you think about you and God and being one with God,
Agree with it.
and being in His image from the beginning, all you have to do is agree with it. You have to line your consistencies up with what already is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so simple.
Yeah.
But there's so many.
From conscious to subconscious,
Like
a part of you.
So now your conscious mind, you take it and you line it up with what already is. God is. Jesus is. And then we line our understanding and our beliefs up with what is.
Yeah.
And know the truth about what is already.
Yeah.
Right? And then when we know the truth about what is already, then everything falls into place. It's very easy. The things that we're trying to fix are actually results of what our truth is.
Yeah.
You get it? So instead of trying to fix the things, we have to go back and fix the belief, fix the understanding, fix what you know. I think
Fix what you know.
Yeah, fix what you know. And it's funny because the consistency, that's RedIn30, that's the epitome
The point of it all.
of RedIn30, right? Like the epitome is consistency. Like being consistent in that frame of mind. Submerging yourself there.
Yep.
I was about to bring up something I know you want to go to, magic versus miracles.
Oh, magic versus miracles, yeah.
And you know, because you said consistency, you know, fixing what you know, I think about health, because people are always trying to be consistent in their diet or whatever their, you know,
but then they
whatever their goals are.
Right, but then they want a healing.
Right, exactly what
You
I was
want,
about to say.
Heal me
The
me
miracle
from,
versus health that you already are. You know what I'm saying? Going back to that part of yourself, but then you want
and truthfully,
not be consistent.
if we're going to use the word miracle, truthfully, you're a miracle in the flesh. I mean, the fact that everything is working in tandem like it is a miracle.
The stuff you can't.
You know what I'm saying? Without nothing else, without any clothes, anything you were trying to get, it's a miracle. But it's really just the way that it is. But I think that we tend to we've looked at Jesus, we looked at God, and we looked at Jesus, and we never considered their consistency. Bro, you like he wake you up every day.
Yep.
Like, bro, like gravity hadn't stopped.
Right.
Action.
Yep.
Gravity hadn't stopped. Air, like, I don't care. You know, we learn like trees making air. And they
Seed
talking
time
about-
and harvest.
But it doesn't matter. Like gravity, like air has never stopped.
Night, day, cold.
Night and day,
Yeah.
cold and heat,
Seasons,
long as
the
Earth
seasons.
remains.
Yeah.
And it's been such a consistency.
Oh, consistency is like bigger than us. Like it's like you know what I'm saying?
So now you have to line yourself up with, I should say,
I'm just like, I feel like
Tell me how
engulfed by
God
it.
is.
Like everything that's really life
Oh, she
is
said
like,
ah? Oh, I thought she said Oz, like the wizard.
oh
No,
no.
It's just like
I
us.
was like, okay, so we're going with magic versus miracle.
That's a good one.
No, you
That's a
wild.
good one. but the miracles, what we call miracles. I heard somebody say this, and I'm trying to say it right. But what we call a miracle, the word miracle is actually a term that's used for people that don't really believe in the true workings of God. So because they don't really believe in God and His all sovereignness and mightiness and His consistency in who He is, we call them miracles because they're excited to us.
Right.
You get it? When actuality, this should be a norm.
I'm saying, would we ever call a tree a miracle? We wouldn't.
We wouldn't because we're so used to them.
And we expect it. Like,
We're so used
just
to 'em.
further explaining what you're saying already.
Right, we're so used to them. Right.
We call them miracles because we don't really expect
We don't expect them. And
that as a normal thing.
Yeah, like I'm trying to imagine like actually like planting a tree and then seeing it grow up and like, oh my God,
it's a miracle.
it's a miracle.
It's a miracle. No, that was already in the play.
That was already the play. I expected that.
Right.
I tell you what, you cannot find a miracle. All right, what we call miracles, right? In the Gospels without an action, without a consistent action first. You can't find it. Something that's laser focused in a certain direction. The woman had to push through with the issue of blood.
True.
She said, if I can touch the hem of his garment. Now, it may not have took no 20 years or whatever, but she went through stuff for years. But that consistency of pushing through, she could have gave up in that crowd.
That's a lot of people.
Man, come on, man.
A lot of people.
Come on.
good.
And you bleeding.
Yeah, and you bleed. Right. And you're not
pain.
and to give a little bit of understanding that too, at that time, if a woman was bleeding that way, you couldn't come in the city. They pushed that away like that was like what we call the menstrual cycle right now. They would have to put them up for days because they thought it was something.
Put them up.
Hey, let's do that. Let's bring that back.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Shut up! Oh my God!
I knew you was about to say something.
No, but that's the truth. Like they were like you couldn't come out in the city, bro. Like you like you'd have to go inside for those that week or whatever it is. So can you imagine her having that issue for years?
Sheesh. She was put up.
Yeah, right. Like
She was really sneaking through that crowd.
Yeah.
She was on a low for a reason.
Yeah, so not only was she pushed through the crowd, but I believe that touching the hem of his garment, right? I believe she's down, so she might be pushing herself through.
Crawling,
Come on,
so
man, you
she's
gotta use your
not
imagination.
seen. Yep.
So you can catch the posture where she is. You know what I'm saying? And really kind of sneaking her way through the crowd.
Yeah.
It says a lot. It says a lot to that story. You know, but there's a consistency of her pushing through.
Yep.
And
Always in action.
Always in action. So
She might have got kicked, man, anything, but it was like, I'm going to consistently, one arm in front of the other, crawl through these people and still go.
Ooh, y'all know what was consistent in every what we would call a miracle? Belief. Having to believe first. We couldn't have it before.
Right.
Think again. Fixing what you know.
wow.
So,
Believe action.
so you about to say something?
Nope. I am, but go ahead. I'm always
Isn't he
about to
always?
I'm always about to say something. Just remember this. Anybody ever looked at me? You ever look at me like you about to say something? I'm always about to say something. I'm always about to say something. So don't ever think that I'm not about to say something.
Guys, with
But
the
don't say
cameras on.
something. It's restraint.
It's a restraint.
And that's a power.
It is, though. It's a grace. It's a grace.
It's a superpower.
No, I was just about to ask you, like, is there an account? What did Jesus say about miracles?
Ain't none. We've checked before. Haven't we checked?
He
checked.
Yeah, he referred.
I thought you were searching for it.
I don't even know. I don't remember. We can look, but I don't remember him ever referring to them as miracles.
It's miracles, yeah. Yeah, I was like, I just think
In his eyes, it's how you're supposed to be already.
Because he was always saying something like, y'all looking for a sign, like y'all not going to see no signs because that's what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? Or he would say stuff like, well, you excited because I said I found you under the tree? Oh, there's many more things you're going to see then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If I told you that you were sitting under the tree already. You know, I think his mentality was more, so this is what I was about to say, and I'm glad you asked the question, that God is consistency.
Through and through.
The Father is. So because He is,
Never stops.
right, we have to line ours up with His, and that's Christ. So instead of me trying to be consistent in His commandments, I have to realize that I am consistently one with Him. And so because I am, align my actions, my consistencies, and everything. My belief is that my oneness with Him, so it makes me consistent. Otherwise, I'll always be consistent in something else.
Yeah.
So it's either the nature of God and the oneness with God, or something else.
Yeah.
And it's so much simpler to think about it as just the oneness of God, because you're thinking about all the other things you got to be consistent with.
One thing is needful, one thing you're lacking.
Yeah.
And so now when you ask, his mindset is that. So his consistent thought and framework and meditation, everything was different because it wasn't built on what all these other people said.
Yeah.
It was more built on
The one.
who he is.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I was thinking, like, especially like today, like a lot of people, like, and I'm sure we've definitely been guilty of it. Maybe in some areas still now, but like being consistent in things, trying to help or put you in a position to be, consistent, in your being. And so a lot of times people get stuck or fixed on like those things being consistent. I need to consistently, read my Bible. I need to consistently, I need to consistently do this because that'll make me consistent.
Yeah.
In who I am.
Or make me somebody.
Yeah.
Right. Or make me strong. But that's we talked about it yesterday. That's faith without the person.
Yeah.
That's faith without the grace of God, which is Jesus, and Jesus is grace in the flesh.
Yeah.
And so now you're doing the works. We were talking about it in the car. Paul said, "What the law could not do, that's weak through the flesh." Meaning you've been trying to do it with the works. And a round of applause for at least moving in a direction of trying to see something.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's better than not doing
get clapped.
anything.
Yeah.
But you're not you don't see it all. You still have blinders over your eyes, scales over your eyes, and you don't see the truth of what it really is.
Why people don't see that though?
Because people praise the works.
Well, I think that we've convinced people that
honest.
the scales
So it
is
seems more
2020.
important. Say it again.
I think the system has convinced people that the scales are actually clear vision. I'll prove it to you. The scales. It's funny you use the scales, and it's funny I'm gonna use the word serpent in the garden. The serpents have scales, right?
Yeah.
Like now, and it's funny that it's that the scales fall from your eyes, but it's funny because the serpent literally convinced Adam and Eve that they were missing something that they already had.
Typical.
It was when you read the story in Genesis, it is a story of life. Right?
Like it's literally happening now.
And it's literally happening now. It wasn't something that happened way back then. It's something that happens now. The screen went off. It's something that happens now. And he literally, then Paul speaks about it in Corinthians. He says, I'm concerned lest you be through the subtlety of the serpent be deceived from the simplicity that is in Christ. And so what happens is everything outside of Christ. So you have Christ, and it's Christ. If I'm saying I'm looking at Christ, is massive. It's all around me. It's in me, above me, around me. But sometimes it's very, very small because I have scales.
Yeah.
What you focus on
Expands.
RedIn30 if we keep the consistency, right? But then what happens is everything around me. It can be family things. It can be school. It can be media. It can be sometimes it's church. A lot of times it's different. Everything around me, those things can sometimes, subtly. It's subtle because it's mixed.
Right.
Yeah.
You can mix it. You can mix it, right? Subtly, it'll deceive you from the simplicity that is in Christ.
All the time.
And try to convince you that the way that you see things is the way that things are seen.
Yeah. He's constantly introducing a new way for you to think about something.
And then he's telling you this is the truth. I love the phrase. We love
It's like
this
you're
phrase.
wasting time.
Live your own truth.
Yeah.
Live your truth. No, you don't have a truth. Like you can't pick what's true to you.
Hate
and then
that statement.
But you know how many statements are like twisted a little bit?
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
it's just a little
like,
bit. Look,
another
the
way to say
serpent,
it.
the
Think about
serpent
it.
did not lie in the
Right.
Garden of Eden. He didn't lie to him.
Yeah.
He just twisted
Yep.
the conversation.
Yeah.
He didn't lie. He's doing the same thing now. He's twisting the conversation. Life is twisting the conversation. So now you live your own truth. You can't live your own truth. If you jump off the top of a building, there is no other truth but the fact that gravity exists. I'm going to live my own truth. Gravity don't, no. Okay, cool.
Go
No,
for it.
there's what you call your own truth, and then there's the truth.
Right.
Right.
And you can't supersede it. I don't even care about technological
One is
advances.
consistent.
Yeah, it's consistent. Look,
You can be who you want to be.
we can do technology.
We got so many lives.
We can fly now. Okay, how long? Just fly forever. You can't. Why? Because gravity. And the thing that's enabling you to fly is the fact that gravity exists.
Yes, in the
Because you're
best way.
using reverse gravity. Right? Like you didn't come up with this new thing called flying. Flying is only a thrust off of the ground, which is gravity already in place.
Yep.
You're trying to create something that's already something. You get what I'm saying?
Twist.
Yeah.
And so,
And call it new.
and call it new, and then say there's a new truth, there's a new system. No, there's no new system. You
Bruh.
know what I'm saying? We got different clothes
You know,
on. We
maybe that's
communicate
how
differently.
occupations are kind of like that too.
Absolutely.
You know, like giving you something to be, as
Yeah.
if you couldn't be something already.
You wasn't something already,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
It's like
Right.
painting pictures of
Right.
things you can become.
I'll make you somebody.
Right. It's just
Yeah.
like
Give
nobody.
you a purpose. No, you can't
that's
give me
why.
a
That's
purpose.
why people don't think they are something already.
I think school systems should do that. I think they instead of trying to give you a career, they should find out what you are. Well, we'd have to go way deep into this, but they should find out what is it inside of you
Already.
that God has implanted in you already, and then begin to develop and cultivate that.
Bruh.
Yeah, they're not trying to do that.
They not trying to do. Yeah,
They want cookie cutter and send
that's a
everybody through.
mindset
Send everybody
people
through.
have like years later when they realize, why am I here?
And I mean,
Like,
they
I
got
hate
the
this
progressive
job.
schools that's,
Trying.
trying to, do certain things, but it's still not
They're
at the
still
scale
on
that
their
it needs to
truths.
be. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, what they think.
How they think, yeah.
And it's funny, this is another thing. That's cool. Why you saying that? Because sometimes you can be doing a little better than the other thing and think that you enlightened.
Yeah, right.
No, you still got scales on one eye. Like you might have one eye open, but you still can't see.
Yeah, I'm about to say, are you like the same amount of scale, but you just got one scale peeled back?
Peel back. Yeah, you got one scale peeled
Yeah.
back. I see something y'all don't see.
I'm gonna write a book about it.
Right. Then it's gonna be a bestseller. Now can't nobody tell
You've
you nothing else.
introduced another
still
twisted
missing
truth.
it.
You still,
Right.
you still don't see it.
Oh my God.
And it's so fun. It's funny when I see that with people sometimes. I be like, oh man, they got it. And it's like,
No,
They
you
don't.
have it.
They don't. They don't got it.
nah, you don't got it. I thought you had it, but
Yeah, it's one of the most disappointing things. It's so disappointing because it's like you see it and you're like, bro, like because it's so gratifying to you that they got it, but then
What's
it's
the,
like,
what's the story? Put a story with it. Put a story with Jesus. You got one. Yeah, you got one. Yeah, you got one. Put a story with it. You ready? Here's the story. You ready?
Oh, you talking about? Yeah, I thought you talking about real life.
No, with Jesus. No, we got real life stories. We
He's
ain't
thinking
dropping no
about
dimes on
one.
nobody. I'm like,
You thinking about one right now?
you be like that.
I don't have one for the air.
No, you do. Yeah, you do have one. You just ain't gonna say it right now. Yeah.
No, I don't have it for the air.
Yeah, for the air. Okay, you
Yeah,
can put it.
Off air,
But what's
off
Jesus'
air.
story? You got one. Jesus, I'm telling you, I got one. You got
Okay,
one?
Go ahead.
good.
Easy.
Okay.
Easy one. Who do men say that I am? Some say thou the Christ. You know what I
Yep.
mean, some say
Elias.
John the Baptist, Elias, and all these different people. He said, but who do you say?
Yep.
Peter jumps.
Yep.
Peter say, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living
Jumps.
God. Oh, Jesus is excited. Oh, hey. Because I can imagine. Can you imagine it? Like, well, we can imagine it now, but I can imagine being enlightened about something or seeing a whole different realm of life. And nobody around you seeing it. So, like, can you imagine looking at something that's so beautiful? Just imagine you walk outside and you was able to see into another realm. And it's like, oh, man, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And you look next to you, like, you see that? And they're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Right? But they believe you see something. Even if they believe you see something,
Yeah.
even trying to describe what you see can be like tormenting to you, right?
Yeah.
So I can imagine living life like that and seeing people
Yeah.
differently
Yeah.
and seeing situations differently. And then the people that's walking with you, they believe you, they trust you, they patting you on the back and they honor you, but you don't need any of that.
Right.
You want them to see
Yeah.
what you see.
The way you see.
Right. So now you're going for a certain amount of time. I mean, it's math. That's like Matthew 16, 17, 18, something like that. So it's pretty much into the story of the gospel.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's probably some time, some years.
Yeah.
And then you finally ask them, out of just happenstance because of what happened before. You had to read it. You had read it.
Yeah. Like.
But and then Peter finally gives the right answer.
Yeah. Come on, Peter.
That nobody gave him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like nobody told you. Like nobody was like, hey, say this. Like nobody did that.
Right.
It wasn't in a book or nothing. He was like, thou art the Christ. And I think it wasn't so much that he said thou art the Christ, but it was that thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. Was now he says thou art the Christ, equality with God. Because if I remember, he said if you call your son, they make it equal with God.
Yeah.
So now he believes that a man is equal with God.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Jesus says,
moment.
whoa, okay.
You got it. My dog.
Mine, yeah, right. I know what you're saying, right. And so now,
10 verses later. Wait, how many verses
well,
later?
I don't even know how many verses later, but he's like, yeah, okay, because nobody could have told you this. He said the only way you could have told this is if my Father, which is in heaven, told you. Right? If he had to
now
reveal
you
it
can
to
hear.
you.
So now
you talking to the same person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We on the same vibe.
We're on the same vibe. We're on the same
vibe
page.
now.
So I know we can turn some stuff over now because everything that I've been doing, the works that I do, you can do that because you believe like me.
And you can see like me.
Yeah. So now I'm excited. So now I'm about to tell you.
Yeah, let's go.
Here's what's coming. Listen. And I'm going to give you the keys of the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth, the gates of hell shall not prevail against you. And then upon this rock, look, I'm going to build my church. Let's go. We ready to build a church. Right? And so then it says, then he begins to explain. Because I feel like you get it.
Yeah. So let me go ahead.
Yes, I feel like you get it. So I don't have to hold the mysteries back.
Right.
I can tell you the secrets. Now you get it.
Yeah.
So now I'm about to explain to you how this is going to happen.
Yeah, at that point, you're like a confidant. Like you're a friend now. So I
we really
can talk
down.
to you on that level. Yeah.
Yeah, we down for it. So now I'm going to explain. So it says he begins to explain to them how he's going to be, the leaders of the church, of the synagogues at the time.
Because you get it.
Because you get it. Only because you get it is the only reason I'm telling you this. And I'm telling you that they're gonna come and they're gonna scourge me. They're gonna, condemn me. They're gonna say all these different things about me, and they're gonna kill me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna rise up again. And then the person that you went off about and said all those different things and thought. Like you get me.
Yeah.
you
actually get me.
You actually get me. And then the one in the crew.
You open up.
You don't get me.
The one in the crew. I already know one of y'all's a traitor. So I got 11 shots left. I got 11 shots left. You know what I'm saying? If he really knew you a traitor, I know you a doubter. So I got I got like 10 shots.
Yeah.
And then Peter finally says that, but then we get to that point, he starts explaining how he's gonna. They're going to take him, they're going to beat him, how he has to die. Yeah. And the next scripture says, and Peter rebuked him and said, it be not so unto you, Lord. Now, before I get to the next part, the only reason Peter rebukes him or jumps off, because he realizes that if I'm with you, I'm on your team, I'm clicked up with you, if they going to do that to you, they going to do that to me.
Right.
And so now he gets to rethinking. I can imagine Peter probably was all in it. Like, the keys of the kingdom. Come on, give it to me. And he probably, I received it. And then, and then, not only that, but I can imagine him looking at the other disciples. Like, I told y'all I was the best one. Y'all trying to figure out who the greatest?
Who the greatest? The
Peter, the Rock, right? And I can imagine him doing all that until Jesus starts talking, and then he probably was like, he probably sat back. Shaggy? He was like, I ain't signed up for this. So what's the next move? Out of panic. No, Jesus, you tripping. They're not going to do that. We're not going to let that happen to you.
No way.
And then the next scripture, Jesus says, the same guy.
Ouch.
And I think he went so hard. I was like, man, God, no, he called him Satan.
Yeah.
But I realized he went so hard because he went so hard. Like that was the perfect recall, like the response
Yeah.
to how much he extended himself. It's almost like a slap. It's like I put my hand way back, like pow, like it's just because I had really believed. You ready for this? I had really believed that you got it, and that we was on the same page. And then I realized that you don't get it, and that's Satan.
The wrong mindset.
Well, that's the serpent.
Yeah.
Because the serpent says the same things that God said to him about the tree and about knowledge of good and evil and everything.
Right.
But then the reason you become an enemy is because you have me taking another identity.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
That's dope, ain't it?
I like
Yeah,
it.
we got to be way more strong when people come and say things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
That's taking
slick.
you out of your identity.
It's slick. It'll be a message. It can be a preacher.
True.
And they'll come and give you a message. And depending on your foundation in truth and your foundation in Christ and what you know, regardless of whatever anybody says, it'll come and they'll say something to you. It'll be a family member, or it'll be a confidant, or a friend, or somebody that you respect, or somebody that you've been looking up to, or entertain, or somebody that you give some esteem to.
Yeah.
And they'll slide in. It's a little bit, right? Jesus was talking about that right before the who said, man, he was talking to the disciples. He said, "Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees."
Right.
He says it's a little bit, slide a little bit,
Yeah.
because it's a little bit. They're gonna slide a little bit of non-truth, or a little bit of law, a little bit of word, a little bit of something in there, and before you know it, you eating the bread thinking it's regular bread, and it got that leaven in there.
Yeah.
So now the leaven is in you, and now you become leaven.
With a little bit dab into your kids and
Right,
your
and then he's gonna
kids'
pass it
kids.
on down and pass it on
your
down.
friends.
Right, and so
Yep.
he says, "Get behind me, Satan." He said, "Because thou savorest the things that be of men, and not of God." In other words, you really weren't interested in the Christ.
You trying to save your life more?
You're trying to save your life.
Yep.
And if you save your life, you're gonna lose it.
Yep.
And at this particular time in life, I don't need that on my team. Like, it's cool. I believe at that moment, that's when Jesus knew. I believe, the other part where he told Peter said, "We never gonna leave you." And the rest of the time, he was like, "Nah, before morning time, you gonna deny me 3 times."
Yeah.
I believe that's when he found it out. I believe, did he call him Satan? Was they like, okay,
Yeah.
You
all right, well, I gotta fix my mind to go this alone.
Yeah. Because
I don't know how else.
after all that time, the one person he thought did get it,
Get it right.
didn't get it.
Right, and he was doing some other miracle. Peter walked on water a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A little bit.
But think about that
More
story.
than- more
that
than the
story
rest of
was
More than the rest of them,
insane.
right?
But
Right.
he also fell.
Peter,
He didn't go all the way.
But he
again.
walked.
right.
He got out
Peter,
the boat. He got out the boat.
He got-
I'm saying it's the same story.
right, same story.
You
Peter,
know some truth.
Peter
but
was
then
the
you
one with the
doubt too.
taxes, with the fishing mouth. He's the one with the boat and it overflowed the boat. I mean, it was a lot about Peter.
Nevertheless, Lord, that thy word.
right. I let down the net. I mean, this is real good. You know what I'm saying? But then
Until
Will you go all
until
the
you get
way?
here, and it's like, okay,
yeah,
all right, I see. I see that.
You hear
Yeah, we
me?
not.
yeah. Because I was reading it. I was reading it yesterday, and like right before, after he finished praying or whatever, he was telling them, y'all come with me, because he said they about to take me. So he was like, y'all come with me after they finished praying, because
Right.
this what we about to do.
Right.
So after that,
We.
the same we.
We.
I didn't know you speak French, Jesus. Master, you speak French. I didn't know this.
No, but that's a good picture to paint. Because where did they go?
They ran.
Dispersed.
No, they ran. Not only did they run, they ran out of their clothes.
Right.
Bruh.
They said one of them ran so fast, and Jesus was a G about it. We've talked about this before, but Jesus was like, "Yo, I'm the one you're looking for.
I am you.
All right, so do this. I'm gonna make a deal. You know they make deals in court right now, the plea deals. Jesus made a plea deal. Jesus said, "Listen, if I give myself, will you let them go?" I'll say that I did. I did it.
Right.
I did
Right.
it. I'm guilty. I did it. But you gotta let them go.
Yeah.
They wanted him so bad that they cool. They really wanted to get all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
the
why
ones
they
that-
went checking them afterwards.
But they wanted them so bad that they say, "Okay, we'll take you and let them go." And they say them jokers ran so fast.
What? We get to go?
Say one of them ran out of his robe.
Bro, that's fast, bro.
That's crazy, bro.
That's fast. Like I can run as fast as I can right now. I might lose a shoe.
You might lose a shoe,
I
but that's
might
it.
lose- that's
and
it,
it got to be untied.
It gotta be loose, but I might lose a shoe.
Bro, how
bro.
scared are you, though?
Bro.
I'm in clothes.
Well,
But
I think I'm using my imagination. Okay, so I think that when they came, the soldiers came. I believe they hemmed everybody up. It's almost like somebody grab you by your shirt.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And they came with a squad, too. It wasn't
So
like
I think
one
they
person.
hemmed everybody up.
Yeah.
And I think like literally letting them go is a thing that they had to do. They probably was like, "Yo, like ain't nobody going nowhere."
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
so
We got to squash this.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, "Well, look, no, take me, let them go." And I believe that when they let them go, he's holding on to his robe and he's trying to go so fast.
He came.
And he
Snatched off.
and he ran snatched off.
Yeah. Hey, bro.
That's my
Give me
imagination, but that makes sense, bro.
Get your clothes, bro.
Get your clothes, bro. You get to the house like, man, what happened to you, bro? We done ran from things before. You run. It's like,
They finally came get Jesus, like he said.
where you got that mark on your head from? Or something? Yeah, but that's they got out of there, man. Mm-hmm. I just
How did we get to that story?
Well, we were talking about Jesus, and then we talking about how Peter didn't get it.
Oh yeah.
And the only reason that
denying.
I mean, even afterwards, and I'm not even gonna get deep into this, but even afterwards, Peter was still didn't get it all the way, even after Jesus had left. Mm-hmm. Like even the Book of Acts, when the Gospels, and I think we may add. I'm not making this official, but we may add Acts chapter 1 to it because Jesus is still talking to him, according to their account. But he's about to go into heaven. And he says, he's about to, I'm gonna send you the Holy Ghost, and he's telling you all the things he's gonna do. Mm-hmm. And even in the midst of him dying on the cross and raising again and showing himself like he said he would, that should have been enough to prove, right? Mm-hmm. They still were asking questions. Mm-hmm. Right after you tell them everything is about to happen, instead of receiving and being, they was like, "Oh, so you're gonna make a new king in Israel,
bro?"
Jesus was like, "All right,
I'll holler."
Yeah, I'm out because I can't keep going. But there's probably somebody in some years to come that's gonna get it.
Yeah,
RedIn30,
2020,
us, right?
Yeah.
So they got some coming. I'm not gonna sit here and just waste my time. I'm not gonna sit here and waste my time.
Boom.
Trying to keep telling y'all when y'all not hearing it.
Right.
You're thinking about yourself so much that you can't hear the truth about me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that I put myself in that like space mentally and imagine like how it's just got to be frustrating to live your life and do all that and like people still don't get it,
bro.
Still don't get it, bro. And I actually haven't seen it up close, seen you up close personal, seen how you are, seen the Father in you, and still don't get it.
It's a different grace, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's a different. That's a different anointing. Like I don't know. That's like that's.
Well, he saw far ahead.
Well, he saw this is there for the
purpose of
joy.
it all.
Joy that was set before him.
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't the joy that was set around him. So his
Come on now.
So his joy wasn't necessarily in the people around him getting it. His joy was in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's God. That's always God's plan. I'm the type of person that even in doing this podcast or helping, we're like helping people and we want people to get it, that you can set your victories or your losses on if somebody gets it or not.
Right.
Or you set your joy or your anger or whatever it is on whether they get it or not. But I realize it's not about that.
Yeah. Can you imagine him knowing there was a Paul?
It helps.
Even when
that helped me, Pastor, and I'd be like,
man,
because sometimes I didn't get upset,
imagine.
bro. I'm just like, bro.
Yeah, like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, like, come on, man.
Go sit down somewhere. Right, yeah. But the joy, it's almost like so when you're pastoring, when you're preaching, there's your people are sitting there, but there's a joy that's set before you that's over their heads.
Yeah.
If they stand up, they can be in the joy.
Yeah.
Right? But the joy set before is over their heads. You can see the vision? Yeah.
I was going to say, can you imagine him knowing there was a Paul when he didn't even know Paul at the time? You know what I'm saying? Like that's really what was ahead.
Yeah. And
Paul wasn't in the circle, but Paul was about to do way more than all the people around him. But he probably can see that because he showed himself to Paul right after that.
Right. I believe. I believe that Paul was necessary.
Yeah.
Because those that were with him didn't want to die. Or didn't want to give up their lives. I believe Paul was always in the plan.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. Didn't at one point, like when he talking about, I've overcome. Didn't he say, some people will be coming and like killing?
He talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said they're gonna slay you. They're gonna kill you. Yeah, they're gonna kill you for your beliefs.
Yeah. So when I read it, I thought about Paul.
He was prophesying Paul.
Yeah,
wow.
Oh.
Because okay, cool. Because you said that. Okay, hold on. So yeah. Yeah, let me find the scripture.
So
y'all keep talking about it.
I mean, that probably gave him, relief too, knowing that, I got somebody. He gonna come slay, but he'll come, lay and build on, the foundation that I've set and get y'all back to understanding, who I am and what I came here to do.
Like when he said that y'all want a sign, but y'all not gonna get one this generation.
And then you get
Listen,
Paul
the
coming
belief-
back and correcting Peter.
The fact that the belief is totally different when you haven't walked with Jesus. It's deeper. You have to already believe that he's in you versus, so, when somebody's your friend and you're so familiar with them, like, they're gifted or who they are supposedly to you. But it's different. You know what I'm saying?
You don't value it the same way.
No, you don't.
You don't value it the same way. You can, but a lot of times people don't because it's so common. Like just you and your remote. When your remote down, and so you don't be like, man, I really appreciate this remote, and it helps me not be able to go, and it has such functioning with it. He's like, it's just my remote, man. It's there. Right. But it's more than that.
It's more than that.
Yeah.
It's always like that when somebody leaves.
I can't find it.
We talk about who you really
All
were.
I'm looking for is this. I'm just going to say what it is. I was trying to find it.
Or just summarize what you're saying.
He was saying, because they persecuted me, they're going to persecute you.
Oh, because they kept my
they
words.
hated me, they hated you.
Yeah, that's the same one. What is it, John? It's John 14?
I think it is because I was
You
looking
said
at it
because
just
they
now.
kept my words, they're going to keep.
Yeah, but because they kept my
yours.
word, they're going to keep yours as well.
Yeah.
And so that describes Paul in the flesh right there, because there was persecution and he hated and he was killing. He said they'll slay you. He said, but those same
Those same people.
they'll
keep my word. I'm trying. I didn't think about that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's him.
That's a good point.
That's John 16.
John 16.
I'm swiping.
I could have Googled it for y'all all this time.
I'm swiping.
Is it John 16?
Well, it's somewhere. RedIn30, find it.
I got it. 15:20.
15:20. I read right over it. Yeah, 19, he said, you love one another. 18, if the world hated you, then you know they hated me before it hated you. So in other words, don't get caught up on the hate because they hated me before it hated you. Right? And if you take that, Jesus said, before Moses was, I am, or before, Jonas was, I am, you can go all the way back to the beginning. So that means the serpent was hating you before, you know what I'm saying, even back to the beginning. And he says, if you were of the world would love his own, but because you're not of the world, but I've chosen you out of the world, that therefore the world hated you. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. But if they kept my saying, they will keep yours. You know what I'm saying? In other words, they may persecute, and that's okay. Don't condemn them for their persecutions, because if you are speaking truth, they'll keep the truth that you say.
Yep.
That's crazy, right?
Yep.
I love it. The consistency of a thing.
Yeah.
The consistency of a thing. And
Jesus!
Jesus Christ!
Where are we?
I think we can end with here too, because and shout out to Sway, he texted me this minute and made me think about something. Today we were in service, they was talking about eating Jesus, like eating,
Jesus,
right,
yeah.
right, and drinking the Holy Spirit. And that can sound weird if you're not in the,
That's communion.
in the mix, but it's communion, right? But communion it's just like the word communication. It's just like the word community. It's one together. And communion was to enforce the oneness that already is. So he says this. He says, as often as you eat of my body and drink of my blood, do it in remembering me. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I want to say it just like you said it, Swag, because I'll give a shout out. And Jesus used our consistency with eating to remember him. He used our consistency with eating. Now, above the communion that we do on second Sunday or whatever we do, what he said was, as often as you eat bread, eat of this bread and drink of this cup. So you're always eating and drinking. There's not a day that passes that you don't eat or drink. I mean, unless you fast and something like that. But even after that, you still gotta go eat and gotta drink. He says, often as you eat and often as you drink, because it's very often, right? Remember me.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Remember me. And I'm gonna say it because I'm gonna say it. I ain't gonna do you injustice with it. It says, and the nature of eating is consuming or putting something inside of you. So as often you eat this bread and drink of this cup, as you eat, you're reminding that Jesus is in you.
Yeah.
So I take, come on, what are you doing? You drinking something? Come on, right? You're thirsty.
Got it.
Right. Right now, do it in remembrance. Now, I'm not. Some people are gonna call blasphemy, and they gonna get mad because I'm talking. About he's drinking that coffee. Right. So I say. So now I do it. Now I do it in remembrance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so just imagine every time I drink anything.
Every time.
It doesn't matter what it is. And every time it's like, you know, you're drinking sometimes you're either looking over the bottle or you're looking up in the air and you're thinking.
Sometimes you close your eyes too.
Sometimes you close your eyes and you're thinking. Thinking on him.
Yep.
Yep.
It would change everything in your consistency
Everything.
about your thought process. Keep your mind stayed on
I'm
him.
trying to drink all the time.
Man, hey, bro, be like, hey, I need to drink more water. I got walk in with a jug of water right here. Yeah, let's go.
It reminds you that you're so deep. You know what I'm saying? You more than what's on the
depth of
outside
you.
of you.
The depth,
Like it's
that's huge.
there's so much on the inside. Is there a scripture about faraway country? I can't think about it.
I said this one time, a faraway country on the inside.
Where did you get that from?
I don't know, I had an idea about a faraway country. I'm talking about the kingdom. The kingdom is in you.
Like a milk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was a scripture. We talked about it for a while.
Yeah, I
then.
might need to go do something. I'll explain it after. 'Cause
It's like the things you don't think about.
Yeah.
You know, even like
Well,
when he go ahead.
Yeah, well, let's go physical, right?
Okay.
Like you have a heart, you have
Yep.
lungs,
Yep.
but when people talk about them, or when you might have to go get an X-ray or a scan or something, it's like stuff that you've never seen before, and it's so distant. Like you don't sit there all day and think about what your heart looks like. You don't even sit there and think about that it's beating
At all.
And so the thought is a distant thought. And I thought about it one time, the faraway country on the inside, like
You don't think about
I got you, I got you.
overseas or
I got you.
yeah, it's right there with you, but.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, as far as you're thinking, it's
Exactly.
somewhere else, but it's
when
right
it's
there
really
with you.
there with you.
Crazy, right? And it's really right there with you. And so the kingdom of God is the same. And it's funny because Jesus is so loving. I don't know where he get this from. Well, I know where he gets it from, but it's another level.
It's there.
Because the kingdom of God is within you. That statement. He's talking to the Pharisees.
Yeah.
He's talking to the ones that's trying to tie him up. But when he says the kingdom of God is within you, it's not some far off away kingdom somewhere else.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's right here
there.
with you. That doesn't mean that heaven isn't a kingdom. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do. But
We don't realize that is it.
thy kingdom
You know what I'm
come.
saying?
Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth.
It has come.
Yeah, and then they got one
In earth.
translation that says, like in your midst. It means in your midst.
Right in the
Yeah.
midst of it. Right in the midst of it. Yeah.
Yep.
The word is nigh thee. Yeah. Right in the midst. Yeah. And see, that's but if you don't know that, then you're waiting for something to come. That's why they ask for a king. That's why they say, Jesus said, I'm gonna give you the Holy Ghost. Now he's talking about from the inside, but. They're talking about you're gonna create a new king in Israel. No, you're waiting for somebody to come
Yeah.
riding in on a horse to save you,
Right.
because you're thinking everywhere else but
Inside. And
Right.
when people think of heaven and stuff, like it's up, but it's really dimensional.
Yeah,
like if you go back to
Yeah.
read Genesis, it was created at the same time.
It is.
It's in this atmosphere, like it's all
it is
dimensional.
It is, but it doesn't. What we call miracles is the manifestation of heaven that is.
Yeah.
It is, but it's
Point blank.
miraculous, and I'm not taking anything from that. I know people understand it, but it's a big deal to us because we don't see it in the realm,
Exactly.
and it's all around us. The
It's more real than what we're looking
right
at.
now,
Right. True story.
what you see is more real than what it is.
Yes, what you don't see is more real than
What you see is to you right now.
to you literally right
To you
now.
right now.
Yeah.
To you,
Yeah.
To
what you
you.
see is more real than what you don't see.
Yeah.
You know, now faith is the substance of things, hope for the evidence of things not
Not seen.
Seen.
right. It's talking about there's the potential. I mean, like I even go as simple as like right now, and I don't want to get too deep in this because my mind goes over there, right? But like,
It's fine. That's what we're here
right,
for.
like right now, there's nothing on the table right here. There's nothing on the table. Y'all can see there's nothing, right? But then there's a potential for something to be there. Not just simple as there's nothing there, and then my belief in moving this there makes this there. So I took something that wasn't
seen
and
in
made
that.
right now. That's a simpler term, but in things with God and the kingdom of God and the way Jesus thinks, he sees the lame man sitting by the pool. He doesn't see the lame man sitting by the pool. He understands, so he's not ignorant of it.
Right.
But his translation from his perspective sees something else. So everybody else see the lame man. He sees a man walking.
Yeah.
He see a man not being who he is, right? Or you see a blind man, but I see sight.
Right. Right.
So now because he sees something different and they can believe what he sees, the connection happens between the two that manifests, and we call it a miracle, but it's really just what is.
Yeah.
Right. Already was.
Right? You get it? And so so he's all right. I'm gonna say this, and we'll end it right here
Right.
So his consistency in knowing his oneness with the Father. He's so precise about things. He would say, like I can't let unbelief get in here.
Yep.
My consistency in his consistency makes our consistency one. We're one together. And so now because we're one, I begin to see things like the Father see things. And so I don't see an empty space. I see a potential for growth.
Yeah. There's an opportunity.
Right? Yeah.
And that's unstoppable.
I told somebody the other day that your deliverance is going to come through what you're going through. It's going to be on the other end of it because I see potential in that thing that you're going through, the potential building of you into a juggernaut. But the potential of building you into a believer. Right?
Yeah.
Right? That draws you, but going through some things develops that. Don't ask him to remove the thorn sometimes. You need to remove the thorn sometimes, right? Don't ask him to pull you out. No, go. He's got something. There's a lesson that he's teaching you through that,
Right.
Yeah.
and then through that, you become something new.
Yeah.
On the other end of it, right?
Yeah.
Because he sees now. You can see turmoil, distress, whatever it is.
Right.
But what's your perspective? Right? Because now Jesus sees the cross. But he sees victory.
Right.
There's nobody before him, and I don't even know if anybody after him before we start preaching the message of the cross as years later. The crucifixion was a real thing then.
Yeah.
Like it was a real
That was
embarrassing,
crucifixion
beat you
going
in front of
on.
everybody, hang you up, and y'all hung up there for days.
Yeah.
On a regular.
And they people. I mean, it was even. They hung people up there and they just let them up there to die.
Yeah.
It wasn't and they left them up there and let them stay there.
Yeah.
And they died because of the sun or because of not eating, and the birds come and eat on them. You get what I'm saying? Like it was a real tormenting thing, and it's really trying to show the rest of y'all better act right.
Yeah. Right.
So Jesus sees that, knows that this could be his fate, and knows the potential of what that could be. For him, and sees victory.
Yep.
There's nobody that saw victory in crucifixion before then.
Right. Right. That's the definition of faith.
That's faith. That's you know what I'm saying? That's the most holy faith.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's building yourself. That's the life that I now live in the flesh. I live by the faith of the Son of God.
Yeah.
Right. So and you're not even getting beat.
Right.
Right. Like you're not even getting stabbed or.
Right.
You might get a little embarrassed.
A little
you know what I'm saying? Make a little persecution, but you're not even going through that.
Close.
I like. You remember what Rachel?
Rachel grandma said, "Yeah,
Jesus went through worse.
Jesus went through worse." Right? I'm just so Jesus went through worse.
Right.
That's great. That's great.
Perspective change immediately.
Perspective change immediately. Yeah, little things like that. And so, yeah, consistency.
Yep.
Consistency.
So I love it.
Go back to that pressure message.
The pressure. Yeah,
Being
go back and check it.
consistent
Yeah.
through all of that.
Yeah, that pressure.
Yes.
And let it make you. You know, the pressure cooker. They got a pressure cooker, but you got to let it cook all the way through.
Yep. You can't take it off.
Oh, the pressure on. Now we done. No, it ain't no pop.
Ain't done.
It's a consistency of a pressure.
So what do you see?
Yep. What do you see? That's great.
Consistently.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So RedIn30, RedIn30.com.
My bad.
You're right. We're looking at the G's. Right. You can keep going. All right.
That's consistently.
Well, that's so RedIn30
Yep.
is a consistent consuming. You ready? Here's dope, right? A consistent consuming of Christ.
Yes.
Come on.
We're gonna use that. Somebody write that down. It's a consistent consuming of Christ. And there's another word, and we kind of got on last RedIn30 because we're talking about knowing and intimacy. But consuming is another word that goes consuming called consummation. And they say you don't consummate the connection until there's intercourse.
Yep.
Like when people get married, they call it consummating the marriage.
Yep.
That means the intercourse is what validates the connection.
Right. Especially back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day,
Go
yeah.
in. Once you come in,
like you have to do it.
that's the thing.
Like it's not like
Yeah.
I can't wait to have sex. No, like you have to go do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ceremony, all that's cool, but
You have to
You're not even married. You're not even married. You're not even one
True.
until that happens.
Yep.
Yep.
consume, all that stuff together.
You know, because think about Joseph and Mary. They didn't consummate their marriage till after he had Jesus for a reason. Because it was a sacred.
For a reason.
She was consummating with the Lord.
It was something else going on.
That's us, though. I'm trying to say, you should consummate yourself with the Lord before you think about
anything
marriage.
Well, not even marriage, but career. But anything else before you connect and become consistent
with the world system of doing
become one with something else. You know what I'm saying? Become one with the Father. Not become in your understanding because you already are.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So now your understanding has changed.
Yeah.
So RedIn30.com.
Yeah.
Y'all get in. Y'all get on the email list. Follow us on
I want to do a shout out.
Go ahead, shout out.
Trying to close
to
out.
Austin.
Oh yeah, Austin.
We saw your timestamps.
Yo.
Yeah, that's dope.
Hey, keep them coming, man. Like
keep them coming.
You gave me out there. Maybe we need to do timestamps ourselves. Like just
they were great.
Parts. But it was perfect, man. It was perfect. So keep watching, man. We appreciate you.
Much love.
And it's all good. So yeah, RedIn30.com. Follow us on Instagram at RedIn30, on Twitter at RedIn30. Facebook RedIn30, huh? What is it?
I was just saying what the numbers.
Yeah, RedIn30 and RedIn30, and but most of all, make sure you get in on the reading. Get in on the reading now. If you jump in when you're hearing this, you know you may not be on day one, but just jump in on whatever day, because every day is day one.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's always a new journey.
Just start swimming.
Just keep swimming.
This is the first cycle that we decided to start with day one.
Yeah, on January.
So just so y'all know, today is the 11th.
Today is the 11th, I think. 11th or 12th. 12th. So today will be day 12. On this particular episode, when you see this, it'll probably be, day something else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But make sure you jump in.
Yep.
And then we'll later on this year we got some plans.
Yeah.
We have real plans. God has really been opening the doors. So
oh my God.
We about to lean into the energy.
Wait.
You know what I'm saying? So RedIn30 may come to a city near you.
Wow.
Can we hear 21 one more time?
21, you remember it?
I just wanted to test you. If you remember
Dort
it.
switch Ajin. That was it? Close?
Yeah.
You got it.
Girl, don't be testing me. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord.
It wasn't.
Hey,
Girl, don't be touching me.
you were so unsure.
I was.
You have to think about it. Go way up in the Lord.
Yo, I had to go back 55 minutes to fill it.
I know it. All right, God bless y'all. RedIn30.com. We'll see y'all later.
Yay. Thank you for watching and listening to the RedIn30 podcast, where we talk about Jesus, truth, and you. Make sure you subscribe and share this with somebody that you love. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and like us on Facebook. We are RedIn30, so you need to be RedIn30. RedIn30.